The rain had been falling since dawn, slow and relentless, like the city itself was trying to wash away old regret. Ethan Cole sat alone in the small conference room of the law office, his hands clasped so tightly his knuckles had gone white. The ticking wall clock sounded louder than it should have, each second echoing like a reminder of everything he'd lost. 3 years of marriage. Reduced to a signature. He told himself he was ready. He had rehearsed this moment 100 times in his head. Sign the papers, exchange polite silence, walk away. Clean. Final. No emotions. That was the plan. Then the door opened. Ethan looked up and everything inside him froze. Laura stepped into the room, her coat damp from the rain, her hair pulled back the same way she used to wear it when she was nervous. But that wasn't what stopped his breath. It was her belly. Round. Heavy. Impossible to ignore. 7 months pregnant. His heart slammed so hard it hit. For a moment, neither of them spoke. The lawyer cleared his throat and gestured for Laura to sit, but Ethan couldn't hear him anymore. The room felt distant, like he was underwater. Pregnant. His eyes followed the slow, careful way she lowered herself into the chair. His mind raced, memories colliding, nights of silence, arguments that went nowhere, the distance that had grown between them until love felt like a language they no longer spoke. He hadn't known. Not once had she told him. Laura kept her eyes down, her fingers resting protectively on her belly. She looked tired. Thinner than he remembered. Sudden. Ethan finally found his voice, though it came out barely above a whisper. Laura. She didn't look up. I didn't plan for you to find out like this, she said softly. The lawyer shifted uncomfortably. Perhaps we should. No, Ethan said, sharper than he intended. I need to understand. Laura inhaled slowly, like she was bracing herself for a storm. I found out after we separated. You were already gone, Ethan. You'd moved out. You stopped answering my calls. That's not, he stopped himself. He had stopped answering. He'd convinced himself it was easier than facing the pain. She finally met his eyes. There was no anger in them. Just exhaustion. I didn't tell you because I didn't want to trap you, she said. You were so sure you wanted out. I thought if I told you, you'd stay out of obligation. Not love. Those words hit harder than any accusation. Ethan leaned back, stand. The room felt too small. Too heavy. You should have told me, he said. I know, she whispered. But I was scared. The lawyer gently slid the papers across the table. Shall we proceed? Ethan stared at the documents. His signature line waited patiently at the bottom, like it had been there all along, waiting for him to finally give up. But something inside him broke. He remembered the night Laura had packed her bag, tears streaming silently down her face as he stood frozen, too proud to say what he should have said. He remembered how lonely the apartment had felt afterward, how success at work couldn't fill the emptiness. And now there was a child. Their child. Is it? His voice cracked. Is it mine? Laura nodded without hesitation. Yes. The clock kept ticking. Ethan pushed the papers away. I can't sign this, he said. The lawyer looked surprised. Laura looked frightened. Ethan, she said carefully, don't do this because of the baby. I'm not, he replied, standing up. His hands trembled. I'm doing this because I was wrong. I left when things got hard. I chose silence instead of fighting for us. He walked toward her, stopping just short, unsure if he still had the right to be close. I don't know how to fix what I broke, he continued, was thick with emotion. But I want to try. For you. For the baby. For the family I didn't realize I was walking away from. Tears welled in Laura's eyes, but she shook her head. You don't get to decide that alone. I've spent months crying myself to sleep, Ethan. I've gone to appointments alone. I've felt every kick without you. Each word was a knife, and he deserved every cut. I know, he said softly. And I'm so sorry. Silence filled the room, heavy and fragile. The lawyer quietly excused himself. Laura stared at her hands for a long moment, then placed one on her belly. I don't know if I can trust you again, she said. I wouldn't expect you to, Ethan replied. But I'll earn it. Even if all I'm allowed to be is a father who shows up. Her shoulders shook as the tears finally fell. You really don't understand, she whispered. I didn't want money. I didn't want promises. I just wanted you to choose us. He knelt in front of her, ignoring the stiffness in his suit pants, his pride long gone. I choose you, he said. Every day. Even if you never forgive me. Laura sobbed then, deep and silent, and for the first time in years, Ethan didn't run from her tears. He stayed. He held her hands. He let himself feel everything he'd been avoiding. Weeks passed. Ethan went to every appointment. He painted the nursery himself, even when his arms ached. He learned how to cook again. He listened more than he spoke. Some nights, Laura still slept alone, and he respected that. Trust didn't return overnight. But kindness has a way of healing what force cannot. The night their daughter was born, Ethan stood at Laura's side, tears streaming freely as a tiny hand wrapped around his finger. In that moment, he understood what love really meant, not perfection, but presence. Months later, on a quiet morning, Laura handed him an envelope. Inside were the divorce papers. And signed. I think, she said softly, we're writing a different ending. Ethan pulled her into his arms, holding her and their child, knowing some miracles don't come loud and fast, but through patience, humility, and the courage to choose kindness when it matters most. Sometimes, the greatest act of love isn't letting go.